My wife and daughters used my money to play family with her lover. Now they call me heartless for taking it back. I used to believe I was doing the right thing, that sacrificing time with my family, enduring 115-degree heat, and sleeping alone in a cramped apartment on the other side of the world would someday be worth it. That every dollar I sent home was an investment in my daughter's futures, in our family's security, in my wife's love. But I was wrong. So painfully, disgustingly wrong. Because while I was working 14-hour shifts in Dubai, sweating under oil rig contracts and eating dinner from a microwave tray, my wife Laura was using that money to take vacations with another man. And my daughters, my girls, were right there beside her, calling him Uncle Ron and smiling like I never existed. And the worst part? They didn't even try to hide it. I left Texas 5 years ago after an opportunity landed in my lap through a college friend who worked in logistics. A management role overseas, high-paying, housing included, flights covered. I wasn't thrilled about leaving, but Laura and I had talked about our finances. Things were tight. Emily was heading into high school and Chloe was growing like a weed. College wasn't going to pay for itself. So we agreed. I'd take the job, send nearly everything home, and we'd reunite after 5 years. Maybe sooner, depending on how things went. Laura was hesitant at first. She said she didn't want to be a long-distance couple. But eventually, she agreed. I thought it was because she trusted me. I thought it was because she believed in us. I was such a fool. The first 2 years were okay. She sent pictures of the girls. They'd FaceTime me sometimes. I got drawings from Chloe, silly memes from Emily, and updates about school and family events. But over time, they got quieter. FaceTimes turned into short texts. Photos of the girls became less frequent. Holidays were harder to schedule. Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss what happens next. She blamed time zones, the girls' social lives, and the fact that they were growing up. I didn't push it. I didn't want to make things harder. Instead, I worked harder, took on more hours, stayed longer. Every month, I wired most of my paycheck into our shared account, paid off the mortgage, sent extra for school trips, home upgrades, medical bills. In 5 years, I barely bought anything for myself beyond food and rent. It was all for them. Or so I thought. Everything changed when I came back home 3 months ago, 2 months earlier than planned. I didn't tell them I was coming. I wanted it to be a surprise. I was picturing my girls' faces, the way they'd run into my arms at the airport. I imagined Laura crying with joy, holding my face, telling me how proud she was that we made it. But that fantasy died the second I walked into our house and found a strange pair of men's boots by the door. The furniture was different. There were photos on the wall, pictures of the girls at Disneyland, at the beach, at restaurants. In every one, there was a man standing next to them. Tall, bald, smiling with his arms around my daughters like he belonged. And Laura? She looked happy, radiant. Not a woman enduring 5 years without her husband, but someone deeply settled. Someone who had moved on. I backed out of the house before anyone noticed me, drove to a nearby hotel, and locked myself in the room. And for the first time in years, I opened Emily's Instagram. That was my mistake, because it was all there. Every vacation, every birthday, every family dinner. Post after post of my daughters posing with a man they called the fun one. One picture shattered me completely. Emily's graduation. In the photo, he stood between Laura and Emily, holding a bouquet of flowers. Chloe was hugging his leg. The caption read, "So proud of our girl." Our girl. As if I didn't exist. As if I hadn't paid for that private school, those test prep classes, that dress she wore in the photo. I zoomed in on Laura's hand. She was wearing the bracelet I bought her in Abu Dhabi, the one she said she couldn't wait to wear for something special. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't eat. I just scrolled and scrolled, piecing together 5 years of betrayal. And then I noticed something else, something that made me sick to my stomach. They weren't struggling. Not even close. Photos from luxury resorts, spa weekends, front row concert seats. They were living better than I ever had. With my money. The next day, I logged into our shared bank account and pulled the last 12 months of statements. Thousands spent on hotels, restaurants, spa treatments. I recognized none of it. All the while, I thought the extra wire transfers were going toward tuition, house repairs, groceries. But Laura had funneled it, using it to play house with this guy. His name was Ron Chambers. I found him through a tagged photo. Used to work at a plumbing company, now freelancing, whatever that means. No college degree, no formal work history. He had a bad divorce a few years ago, went bankrupt, and somehow ended up shacked up in my home, living off my earnings, hugging my daughters. I spent a week gathering everything. Screenshots, bank statements, photos. I contacted my sister, Allison. She's an attorney. The second she saw the evidence, she said, "Oh, we're going to bury them." That was the moment I stopped crying, because it stopped being a heartbreak and started becoming a strategy. I moved the remaining money into a private account, changed all my passwords, shut down the shared credit card, and I filed for divorce. Without warning, without a call, without a letter. If they could replace me while I was breaking my back to provide, then they could learn what life was like without me. Didn't expect them to throw a parade. I didn't expect hugs or tears or a Hallmark reunion when I finally confronted them. But I also didn't expect my own daughters to look at me like I was the intruder. The first time I saw Emily and Chloe after 5 years away, I wasn't met with excitement or even confusion, just annoyance. Like I disrupted something. Like I was a ghost who hadn't been invited to haunt the house anymore. It happened 2 days after I pulled the plug on the shared accounts. Laura had tried calling, of course, for times. I didn't answer. She left one voicemail, shaky, flustered. "We need to talk. Please don't do anything rash. The girls don't understand what's happening." I ignored it. Instead, I asked Allison, my sister, the attorney, to help me arrange a direct meeting with my daughters. Not in the house. Not with Laura there. Neutral ground. We settled on a quiet diner near the edge of town. I arrived early, ordered black coffee, and sat facing the door. They walked in together, side by side. Emily was 19 now, confident, hardened. She had her mother's posture and Ron's smug smile. Chloe, barely 14, looked smaller than I remembered, but her eyes had that same guarded, distant look. They slid into the booth across from me. Emily folded her arms. "Why did you cut off the money?" "No, hi. No, we missed you." Just that. A demand. I looked at them carefully, studying their faces, searching for any trace of the little girls who used to beg for bedtime stories and race to the door when I called. But they were gone, replaced by strangers. "Because it wasn't being used for the reasons I sent it," I said calmly. Emily scoffed. "You don't get to control us just because you paid some bills." "I didn't pay some bills," I said, my voice low. "I paid all the bills. For 5 years. I worked 18-hour days in 110-degree heat while your mom played house with a man who didn't contribute a damn thing." Chloe shifted uncomfortably. Emily glared at me. "So you're punishing us? Because mom found someone else?" That hit like a punch. She said it so casually, so carelessly, like I was the one who'd ruined everything by daring to come back. "She didn't find someone else," I replied. "She stole my life. With my money. And you both went along with it. You left," Emily shot back. "You chose to be gone." "No," I said. "I chose to provide. There's a difference." Silence. Chloe looked like she wanted to say something, but Emily cut in first. "You think we were just living the dream here? It wasn't like that." I pulled out my phone and slid it across the table. Photos. Screenshots. Vacations. Spa weekends. Disneyland. Graduation dinners. Restaurant tabs. "Wasn't like that?" I repeated. "Really?" She looked at them, face unmoving, then shrugged. "Fine. So we had help. Mom deserved to be happy. Ron treated her better than you did." That's when I laughed. Not out of humor, out of pure disbelief. "How would you even know how I treated her? You were kids. You only saw what she told you." I looked straight at Emily. "You really believe I'm the villain here?" Her jaw clenched. "You disappeared. You were just a voice on a phone. Ron was here. That's because I was working," I snapped. "Working for you. For her. For this family. And now you're just gone again," she said coldly. "At least Ron never bailed." My hands were shaking, but I kept my voice steady. Ron didn't bail because Ron never had anything to risk. He didn't give up anything. He stepped into the life I built and called it his. Chloe finally whispered, "Why didn't you come home sooner?" I looked at her gently. "Because I trusted your mother to hold the line. To keep things together. To wait for me. Like she said she would." She looked down. And for the first time, I saw a flicker of guilt. Emily didn't flinch. "She was miserable without you," she said. "No," I replied. "She was free. And that's fine. If she wanted out, she should have said so. But instead, she took everything I gave and handed it to another man." I leaned back. "You think I'm heartless for cutting off the money?" That was me finally doing something for myself. For once. They left soon after. No hugs. No closure. Chloe lingered at the door, hesitating, but Emily grabbed her arm and pulled her away. That night, Laura emailed me. A long, desperate message, half apology, half manipulation. "The girls are hurt. I'm hurt. I don't even know who you are anymore. I needed support, and Ron gave that to me. I didn't plan this, but it happened. I did what I could. Please don't take it out on the girls. No mention of the money. No apology for spending it on someone else. No accountability. Just pain, now that the lifestyle was ending. The next morning, I filed the divorce papers through Allison's office. Every document included. Every expense traced. The prenup, ironclad. The house, mine. The cars, leased in my name. Everything they thought they were entitled to was about to disappear. And I wasn't doing it to be cruel. I was doing it because they made me disappear first. If there's one thing Laura always prided herself on, it was family connections. When we first got married, she used to joke that if anything ever went sideways, I've got Allison on speed dial, so you better be careful. Allison Shaw, her older sister, corporate attorney, high-powered, slick-talking, and always 2 steps ahead of everyone in the room. She'd handled her own divorce with the same precision as a tax audit and walked away with everything short of the dog. Laura thought having Allison in her corner made her untouchable. She forgot one small detail. I had a prenup, and Allison helped write it. Back when Laura and I were just starting out, I was the one with the assets. I'd inherited a small house from my grandmother, had a stable job, and a 401k already growing roots. Laura had just finished grad school, working part-time gigs and drowning in student debt. It wasn't a power imbalance. We loved each other. But even then, Laura's parents insisted on protecting their daughter. So, at their urging, Allison stepped in and drafted a prenup, one Laura barely skimmed before signing. It was simple, fair, ironclad. Anything earned before the marriage stayed with the original owner. Any major gifts or assets acquired by the other party had to be disclosed. And infidelity? That was one of the rare trigger clauses. Any proof of cheating nullified any claim to spousal support. At the time, it felt dramatic. But now? Now it was my shield. The day after I filed for divorce, Allison called me directly. Her voice was clipped. Professional. Cold. I want to make this as smooth as possible, she said. We don't want this turning into something toxic. I almost laughed. You mean like being replaced by a guy eating dinner at my table with my kids? She didn't rise to it. We can work through the division of assets. Laura is willing to be reasonable. Oh, that's good, I said. Because the law isn't. She paused. What do you mean? I said slowly, you should have read your own prenup more carefully. That got her. She asked for a copy. I told her to ask herself, since she wrote the damn thing. 2 days later, I got a formal notice from Laura's side. They were contesting the infidelity clause, claiming there was no concrete proof of a romantic relationship between Laura and Ron. Seriously? The man was living in my house. His clothes in my closet. His face in every family photo. But since there wasn't a sex tape or confession on paper, they thought they could bluff it. So I dropped the bomb. Allison had missed something. Buried in one of the online folders I used to sync photos back to Laura from Dubai, I found a forgotten subfolder she had accidentally synced back to me, full of personal photos she probably thought were private. There it was. A vacation album. Date stamped. Her in a bikini. Him shirtless behind her, arms wrapped tight. Kissing. Dozens of photos over the years. Beach resorts. Spa days. One of them in bed, asleep, fully clothed, but clearly post something. I sent one to Allison. No caption. Just the image. And a copy of the prenup clause. The silence was deafening. For 2 days, nothing. Then a formal reply came back. Laura was willing to accept the terms of the prenup. Just like that. No more fights. No more threats. Because they knew. They'd lost. Here's what Laura didn't expect. She thought that, at worst, she'd walk away with half the house, some alimony, maybe even custody leverage if she played the long-distance dad card. But the prenup gave her none of that. The house? In my name before we even got married. The account? Mine. The shared one she drained? Already emptied and closed. The car? Leased under my company's name, returned. She walked away with exactly what the prenup said she could take, the stuff she brought in. Which, 5 years later, was basically nothing. She texted me one night, not angry. Not begging. Just, I didn't think you'd actually go through with it. I didn't reply. Because here's the truth. I didn't think I would either. But you reach a point, when someone has squeezed every ounce of love, trust, and forgiveness out of you, where there's nothing left to give. And then came the phone call I didn't expect. It wasn't from Laura. It was from Chloe. She was crying. Mom says we have to leave the house. My chest tightened. I thought it was ours. No, I said gently. It's mine. Always was. There was silence on the line. Then, can I come with you? That nearly broke me. But I wasn't ready to answer. Not yet. She was still in my house. Even after the divorce was finalized. Even after the prenup was enforced, the accounts were closed, and the lawyers had stopped calling. She was still there, as if nothing had changed. As if she still belonged. The audacity was unreal. I gave it a few days. I didn't want to show up with a sheriff's deputy or make a scene. I thought maybe she'd do the right thing and leave quietly. She didn't. Instead, she hosted a backyard dinner. I saw the photos online. String lights, wine glasses, Chloe and Emily laughing around the table, Laura standing next to Ron, smiling like she hadn't just been legally evicted. That's when I lost it. Not with yelling, but with clarity. The next morning, I showed up on the doorstep with my name on the deed and a copy of the court documents in my hand. She opened the door wearing my old college hoodie, like it meant something, like we were still playing house. "Bob," she said, blinking like she didn't expect me to actually come. "Is everything okay?" "No," I said. "You need to leave. Today." She stiffened. "Excuse me. I gave you a week. It's been 12 days. You don't live here anymore." Her mouth opened, but no words came. Then she crossed her arms. "The girls are free to visit me wherever I go. But this house is mine. And you knew that when you signed the prenup. You can't just throw us out," she snapped. "This is their home." "No," I said. "This was our home. And then you made it yours and Ron's. Now it's mine again." She laughed, a short, bitter sound. "You're really doing this. Kicking your daughters out over principle. This isn't about principle. It's about respect. Something you clearly ran out of years ago." Emily came downstairs halfway through. Her eyes widened when she saw me. "Dad?" I didn't answer right away. Laura turned to her. "He's kicking us out." Emily scoffed. "Well, classy." "Don't," I said quietly. "You don't get to talk to me about class." She folded her arms. "You think this fixes anything? You think punishing us makes you the victim?" I took a breath. "No, I'm not the victim. I'm the fool who funded your fantasy. And now I'm done." That shut her up. Chloe was quieter. She hovered behind them on the stairs, eyes glassy, clutching a pillow. She looked small not because of her age, but because for the first time, the walls around her world were cracking. She wasn't looking at me with hate. She was looking at me like she finally understood. "I'll give you until Friday," I told Laura. "That's more than fair. After that, I'll file a motion to have you formally removed." "You wouldn't." I raised my brows. "Try me." I turned, walked down the steps, and didn't look back. That night, Chloe texted me. "I don't blame you. I'm sorry." That single message undid me more than any fight with Laura or Emily ever could. Because underneath it all, Chloe was still my kid. Still watching. Still learning. Still trying to figure out what kind of people we were. Friday came. Laura didn't leave. She stalled. Claimed she needed more time. So I filed the motion. By Monday, a court rep was assigned to oversee the transition. She packed her things under supervision. No drama. Just tension so thick you could slice it with a knife. I didn't show up. I stayed in a hotel that weekend close by, just in case Chloe needed me. She didn't text. Not until Sunday night. "We're gone. Where are you staying?" I asked. "Mom got a condo from a friend. It's not like the house." No, it wouldn't be. Because the house had been built on my sacrifice. And now, they'd have to learn what it meant to lose the comfort they didn't even realize was borrowed. Emily posted a story that night. A picture of her suitcase. A wine glass. A caption that said, "Some people think revenge makes them powerful, but silence always wins." I didn't respond, because I knew who really held the silence now. It wasn't her. Monday morning, I walked back into the house. Empty. Quiet. Mine. I stood in the center of the living room and just breathed. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like a ghost in my own life. I felt real. I felt present. And I felt done. I knew they'd be back. Not Laura. She wouldn't dare. Not after the prenup, the court order, the quiet but total way I'd pulled the rug out from under the life she'd built on my foundation. But the girls? I knew the day would come when they realized Mom didn't have a plan, just a fantasy. It started with Chloe. She texted again a week after they moved out. "Can we meet? Just us." I said yes. We met at the library, quiet, neutral, safe. She sat across from me, hoodie pulled up, sleeves covering her hands, like she was trying to shrink herself. She didn't look angry. She looked lost. "She's not okay," she said quietly. "Your mom." She nodded. "She's not herself. She keeps drinking, keeps blaming you. But she's the one who made it worse." I didn't say anything. I just listened. Chloe's voice cracked. She said I could live with her until college, but now she says I might have to go stay with Aunt Allison for a while because the rent is too high. I leaned forward. "Do you want to go?" She shook her head. "No," then, so soft I almost didn't hear it. "I want to come back home. With you." God. That broke me. I hadn't cried through the divorce, through the court battles, through the nights I sat alone in that hotel wondering how everything had gone so wrong. But hearing my daughter call it home again, That was different. I didn't say yes. Not yet. Not because I didn't want her, but because I needed to know she understood what home meant. It wasn't just a building. It was trust. And they'd broken it. All of them. The next day, Emily showed up, unannounced, at the front door of the house she once mocked me for reclaiming. She stood there, not with her usual posture of indignation or superiority, but like someone who'd just run out of places to go. Can I come in? I didn't open the screen door. I don't know. Can you? She flinched, then nodded. I deserve that. I stepped aside. She walked in slowly, like she expected the furniture to yell at her. I watched her take it all in, the polished floors, the echoing quiet, the framed photo of her and Chloe from elementary school still sitting on the mantel. Why did you keep this? She asked, pointing at it. Because it mattered to me, even when you didn't. She looked down. I didn't know, she whispered. You didn't want to know, I corrected. You saw what was easier, and you went with it. She nodded. You were right, she said. That surprised me. I'm sorry, she continued. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I needed to say it. I didn't understand what Mom was doing, or what I was doing by backing her. I waited. She kept going. Ron left her. A few days ago. What? He packed his stuff and moved out. Said he never wanted to play dad again. Said Mom was suffocating him. I blinked. Did he say why? Emily nodded, eyes red. He said it was all fake. That she used your money to build a lie, and once it dried up, he realized he didn't love her. He loved what she gave him. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because that's exactly what I'd been trying to tell all of them for months. Now they finally believed it. But it was too late. Then Emily looked up at me and said the one thing I didn't expect. Can I come home? Not just visit. Not can we talk. She meant move in. Back into the life she'd helped burn down. Back into the space where she once posted selfies captioned, "Some people think silence is power," mocking me. I looked at her for a long time, and what I saw wasn't arrogance. It was regret. Real. Heavy. Raw. You can't just step back in and pretend none of it happened, I said. I know. You hurt me. I know. You told people I abandoned you. She swallowed hard. I did. Why now? I asked. Why come back? She took a deep breath. Because it turns out silence isn't power. It's just lonely. I nodded, then said, you can stay. But there are rules. Boundaries. Respect. Anything, she said quickly. I'll do anything. Then start by apologizing to Chloe, I said. And to me. With your actions. Not just words. She nodded again. Quietly. Genuinely. That night, the three of us ate dinner at the kitchen table. Just me, Chloe, and Emily. No drama. No raised voices. No Ron. Just a quiet meal and a few hesitant jokes. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Laura didn't call. She didn't text. But I knew she knew. Chloe told me Mom had cried when she found out they were leaving her. Said she felt betrayed. The irony wasn't lost on me. But here's the thing. I wasn't trying to replace the pain with revenge anymore. I just wanted peace. And if the girls were willing to come back not as entitled daughters, but as people who finally understood, then I was willing to let them rebuild. Brick by brick. For 5 years, I thought of myself as a provider first, a father second, a husband somewhere in between. It's what men like me were taught to be, dependable, quiet, present through absence. You work. You send money. You endure. You become the background character in your family's story so that they can shine in theirs. But after everything I've lived through, the betrayal, the lies, the dismissal, I've come to realize something that hurts more than anything else. I was never the main character in their lives. Just the guy they expected to show up when the lights needed to stay on. And when I stopped showing up, they didn't ask why. They asked, how dare you? It's been 3 months since the house became mine again. 3 months since I let Emily and Chloe move back in, not out of obligation, but because I saw something in them I hadn't seen in years. Remorse. Growth. A desire to start over, not just rewind. They help out now, not because I ask, but because they want to. Emily cooks twice a week. Chloe mows the lawn and started walking the neighbor's dog for a little extra cash. Sometimes we sit on the porch in silence. No need to fill it with explanations or apologies. Just presence. Real presence. I still haven't spoken to Laura. Not directly. She sent a few emails. Some bitter. Some quiet. One surprisingly raw. In it, she said, you were never meant to be the villain in this story. I just didn't know how to be honest without losing everything. That line stayed with me. Because that's exactly what she did. She lied and still lost everything. Not because I took it, but because she handed it away. One decision at a time. Ron is gone. Vanished like he never existed. Emily said she saw him once at a gas station. He didn't make eye contact, didn't say a word, just pumped gas and drove off in a borrowed car. No more fancy vacations. No more backyard parties. Just another guy who walked away when the free ride ended. Some nights, I still feel the weight of it. The loneliness. The disbelief. The way betrayal sticks to your ribs like a bad meal, long after the table's been cleared. I think about how close I came to living out my days in someone else's story, working myself to the bone so someone else could be called dad by the daughters I'd raised. And then I think about where I am now. About how I get to hear Chloe laugh in the morning again. How Emily leaves little notes by the coffee pot when she knows I've had a rough day. How no one calls me provider anymore. They just call me dad. And sometimes, that's enough. But I've changed too. I don't break my back for people who don't see me anymore. I don't hand over my peace for the sake of keeping the family together. I don't let guilt run the show. No, I choose where my time goes, where my money goes, where my heart goes. And for the first time in a long, long time, it goes to me. I'm not angry anymore. Not really. Laura will live with the consequences of her choices, just like I did when I believed in them. But I don't hate her. She gave me 2 daughters who are finally becoming their own people. She gave me the clarity to see my worth. She gave me permission, without meaning to stop carrying everyone else's burdens. Sometimes people ask me if I'd do it differently. If I'd stay in Texas. Never leave. Keep my job local. Watch over my family the way a real man should have. But you know what? I think if I hadn't left, I never would have known who they really were. And worse, I never would have known who I really was. The other day, Chloe asked if I still felt like they betrayed me. I paused. Then I said, no. Betrayal ends the moment you stop giving people the power to hurt you. She nodded slowly. And that was that. This is my story. Not the one I thought I'd live. Not the one anyone warned me about. But it's mine. And I own every part of it. The heartbreak, the rebuilding, the quiet dinners, the slow forgiveness. I'm not their provider anymore. Not the wallet. Not the backup plan. Not the shadow in the background. I'm just the guy who raised 2 girls the best way he knew how. And came back from being forgotten. So let me ask you, what would you have done if you were me? Would you have walked away for good? Let them learn the hard way? Or opened the door when they finally knocked? Tell me in the comments. I want to know what you think. Because sometimes, closure comes from choosing peace. And sometimes, it comes from choosing yourself.